What if I told you that while South Africans were dying from COVID-19, a criminal syndicate was buying Lamborghinis and Bentleys with money meant for life-saving machines? What if I told you that when one brave woman tried to expose them, she, in turn, was assassinated outside her home? Yeah, this is the Tembisa Hospital corruption scandal, and it reaches all the way to the president's family. Good day, my people. Welcome back to Allegedly. And today, we are exposing one of South Africa's most shocking corruption scandals. A story of greed so disgusting, it will make your blood boil. We're talking about 2.3 billion rand stolen from Tembisa Hospital during the COVID-19 pandemic. Money that should have bought ventilators, PPEs, and medicine instead bought luxury cars, it bought mansions and party boats. And when whistleblower Babita Deokaran tried to stop them, they killed her. So picture this. In 2020, COVID-19 is raving.
It's a breaking news story then. Unfortunately, it is with regards to coronavirus, of course, then. And the breaking news this hour coming through from the Minister of Health, that's Dr. Bheki Cele. The statement does read, and reading this live then, of course, as it has just come in. This morning, the National Institute for Communicable Diseases confirmed that a suspected case of COVID-19 has tested positive.
As the patient South Africans to wear masks, Ramaphosa struggled with his own, prompting hashtag Cyril Mask Challenge to trend in South Africa.
South Africa. Patients are dying in hospital corridors. Doctors are begging for just basic equipment. And at Tembisa Hospital in Ekurhuleni, something evil is actually happening. While families are losing loved ones, a criminal syndicate was systematically looting the hospital's budget, my people. Not thousands of rands, not millions. We are talking about billions of rands, 2.3 billion rand to be exact. Enough to build 3 brand new hospitals. Yes, I said that. The mastermind, he is a man named Hangwani Maumela. He is known and dubbed as the Don of Tembisa. But here's the shocking part that will make you sick to your stomach. Maumela isn't just some random criminal, my people. In actual fact, he's President Cyril Ramaphosa's nephew by marriage. Yes, you heard that right. The president's family was allegedly involved in stealing money that was meant to save South African lives during our very darkest times.
I'm pleased to join all the soldiers of the Republic of South Africa tonight. This is an important evening, not only for yourself, but for the entire country. I'm dressed in your uniform as your Commander-in-Chief to signify my total support and solidarity with you as you begin this most important mission in the history of our country. Our country has never been through a period like this. This is unprecedented, not only in our democracy, but also in the history of our country. That we will have a lockdown for 21 days to go out and wage war against an invisible enemy, coronavirus. You are expected, as the pride of our nation, the soldiers of the Republic of South Africa, to go out and defend our people against this virus. Your mission is mission save lives. You are required to go out and save the lives of the 57 million South Africans who live within the borders of our country. A lot rests on your shoulders. As the soldiers of our country, you took an oath that you will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa and that you will defend the people of South Africa
Let me paint you a picture of this criminal empire, okay? Hangwani Maumela controlled 14 different companies, and these companies scored 415 million rand in fraudulent tenders. This was between 2019 and 2021. His business partner, Cat Matlala, whom we've been talking about, ran a security company that actually was linked to weapons and a lot of murders, just as we know. Together, they held meetings at the luxurious Maumela mansion, where even former police minister Bheki Cele is allegedly visiting or had visited prior. Think about that for a second. The police minister visiting the mansion of a hospital tender fraudster. What does that tell you about protection from the top? Be honest. But it gets worse, my people. Much, much worse. The syndicate didn't just steal money. They perfected the art of procurement fraud. They were so good at cover quoting. This is when they submitted fake competing bids to ensure that their companies are the ones that always won. They were good with forging documents. So investigators actually found that identical handwritings were actually used across supposedly different bidders. They were so good with shell companies because they registered 54 fake companies to one house in Primrose, I know. And lastly, overpricing goods, boy, that was their specialty. Plastic buckets sold for tens of thousands of rands. And while patients died from lack of medicine, what did they buy with the stolen money? I'm sure you know by now. 4 Lamborghinis, a Bentley, a luxury mansion in Sandton and Camps Bay, a party boat worth millions, over 310 million rand in property through family trusts, my people. Every Lamborghini represented hundreds of ventilators that were not bought, to be honest. Every mansion represented thousands of medicine doses that were denied to dying patients. This wasn't just theft, it was murder. Murder by greed, to be exact. Now, here's where the story gets even more bizarre. Meet Christine and Avikash Singnarian. This is a married couple who were about to basically expose just how deep this rabbit hole goes. Christine was a part-time call center agent, earning less than 5,000 rand per month. Yes. Avikash was a sound engineer. Normal, working-class South Africans just trying to make ends meet. Or so it seemed. On the same day in 2020, Christine happened to have registered 5 companies. Christine registered 5 companies. On the same day, Avikash registered 5 companies. 10 companies in total, all with fake addresses. Some were listed at abandoned buildings, others at a care home for mentally challenged adults. Within months, my people, these 10 shell companies, controlled by these 2 ordinary workers, had secured nearly 30 million rand in hospital contracts. They were supplying ventilators, ICU beds, wound dressings, all without proper licenses to even sell medical equipment. But here's the kicker, my people. Despite winning 30 million rand in contracts, Christine and Avikash still lived in a rented back room in Lotus Gardens, Pretoria. Where was all the money going? What's going on? The answer reveals the true genius and evil of this syndicate. The Signarians were just fronts, to be honest. Ordinary people who were used as puppets by the real masterminds to hide the money trail. Now, I need to tell you about a hero. Her name was Babita Deokaran, and she paid the ultimate price for doing the right thing, my people. Babita was a senior health official who started noticing a whole lot of suspicious payments flowing to companies like the Signarians. In August 2021, she decided she would compile a detailed report flagging irregular tenders linked to this Maumela system and syndicate. She had the evidence. She had the courage. She was going to expose everything. On August 23, 2021, just weeks after flagging the corruption, my dear people, Babita Deokaran was gunned down outside her home. 7 bullets in front of her family. A mother, a civil servant, a patriot who loved her country more than her own safety. So think about this. While Maumela was cruising in his Lamborghinis, Babita Deokaran was lying in a pool of blood because she tried to save money meant for dying patients. Her murder sent a chilling message. Expose us and you die. But Babita's sacrifice wasn't in vain. Her reports triggered massive investigations by the Special Investigating Unit, the National Treasury, and the Asset Forfeiture Unit. The truth was finally eventually coming out, and it was more horrifying than anyone had ever imagined. Here's where the scandal explodes into the highest level of South African politics, my people. Remember how Hangwani Maumela is President Ramaphosa's nephew by marriage? Okay, the connection runs through Ramaphosa's first wife, okay? Her name is Hope Madau Modau. Her brother is Basil Modau. Her brother is Maumela's father. His mother was a high-ranking official in the Limpopo Department of Health. This placed Maumela at the center of a web connecting presidential family ties, health department insiders, political protection networks, and law enforcement oversight. But it doesn't stop there, my people. The tentacles of this corruption reach into every corner of South African power. Paul Mashatile, now Deputy President. His networks have been linked to various tenders that have caused controversies across Gauteng. Bheki Cele, the former police minister who allegedly visited Maumela's mansion while investigations should have been proceeding. Julius Malema, the EFF leader who publicly condemns corruption while privately maintaining donor relationships with figures like Edwin Sodi, another major tenderpreneur. The pattern is clear, my people. At the highest levels of government, there's a revolving door between political power and tender corruption. The same networks that looted state resources under Jacob Zuma simply rebranded under Cyril Ramaphosa. When investigative journalists started exposing the scandal in 2022, something remarkable happened. In just 2 days, directors of 54 shell companies resigned simultaneously and handed control to the man, Stefan Govindraj. This wasn't a coincidence. This was a coordinated cover-up operation designed to protect the real masterminds. Govindraju, who invoked his rights against self-incrimination when questioned by media, suddenly found himself controlling companies that had funneled hundreds of millions of rands through fraudulent tenders. The registered address for all these 54 companies, my people, was a single house in Primrose. That was mysteriously inaccessible during inspections, which is weird. Meanwhile, other players in this syndicate tried to distance themselves. Cat Matlala disappeared from public view. The Signarians went silent. Hospital executives were suspended but faced no criminal charges. The message was clear. The little fish would be thrown overboard, but the big sharks would swim away untouched. But justice, delayed, though it may be, was coming. On August 14, 2025, 4 years after Babita Deokaran was murdered, the Asset Forfeiture Unit finally acted. They froze 226 million rand in assets that were belonging to Maumela's network. 4 Lamborghinis, a Bentley, multiple luxury homes, the party boat, various properties held in a family trust. 2 weeks later, my people, they froze another 47 million rand from the parallel Mazibuko syndicate. Civil society organizations, opposition parties, and advocacy groups had to hail that this is a breakthrough. But they demanded more swift prosecutions, more asset recoveries, and more importantly, protection for future whistleblowers. Because here's the bitter truth, my people. While the asset forfeiture unit was seizing luxury cars, 6 people had already been convicted for Babita Deokaran's murder. But the masterminds, those who ordered her assassination, remain free to date. Let me leave you with this thought. This isn't just a story about corruption. It's a story about what corruption actually costs in human terms. Every rand stolen from Tembisa Hospital represented a ventilator that was not bought while COVID patients suffocated. It represented medicine that was not purchased while people died in agony. It represented PPEs that were not provided while healthcare workers risked their lives. It also represented equipment not maintained while doctors worked with broken tools. The Tembisa Hospital scandal reveals the true face of corruption in South Africa. It's not a victimless crime. It's not just about politicians getting rich. It's about a system so morally bankrupt that it will let citizens die to fund luxury lifestyles. And when brave people like Babita Deokaran try to stop it, they pay with their lives. The investigations continued. Persecutions are promised for 2026, but until we see real accountability, until we see Maumela, the Signarians, Stefan Gavindraju, and all their political protectors in orange jumpsuits, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Because make no mistake, for every Tembisa hospital exposed, there are dozens more still operating. For every Babita Deokaran who spoke out, there are hundreds more who remain silent out of fear. The question isn't whether corruption exists in South Africa. The question is whether we, as citizens, will demand the accountability that Babita Deokaran died trying to achieve.